I live alone in a house on Garland Road in East Dallas, bought it in 1979 for $47,000 with my wife Paulette, may she rest, 3 bedrooms. A yard I used to mow every Saturday before the Texas heat came down hard. I still sit on that porch in the early morning with my coffee before anyone on the street is moving. And 4 years ago, when I was 82 years old, I stopped visiting 2 of my 3 children. People hear that and they go quiet. Then they start choosing their words carefully, the way people do when they think you've lost something, your mind or your way. They look at me with that particular expression that's trying to be kind. Nothing happened, that's what I tell them. Nothing dramatic, no screaming, no lawyer letters, no Thanksgiving that ended with plates broken and a door slammed. What happened was words, specific kinds of words, said in specific moments, in specific tones. And at 82 years old, I had finally lived long enough to understand what those words actually meant underneath what they were pretending to say. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. I'm Jonathan Joseph, I'm 86, and I want to tell you 5 things adult children say that mean, whether they understand it themselves or not, that you should stop visiting them for a while. Not forever, not as punishment, but long enough to stop losing something you cannot get back. I've got 5 of them for you today. Some will sting a little. One of them ended a man's 15-hour drive permanently. And by the time we get to the 5th one, I think you'll understand exactly why I made the decision I made on a cold December night in Dallas, alone at my kitchen table, Paulette's photograph on the refrigerator, and a phone I had already made up my mind not to pick up. Stay with me. Paulette and I had 3 children. Denise, the eldest, born 1961. She lives in Plano, about 25 minutes up the road. Marcus, born 1963, moved to Atlanta in 1994 and built his whole life there. Good career, good marriage, 2 children I love, like breath. And Raymond, the youngest, born 1966. Raymond's in Fort Worth. 40 minutes, maybe less if the highway cooperates. We were close when the children were small. Sunday dinners at the house on Garland Road, Paulette in the kitchen, me on the porch, the screen door going back and forth all afternoon. There was a particular smell to Sunday in that house, pot roast and iron from Paulette's skillet on the stove. I can still find it if I sit still long enough. The children grew up fine, married well, had children of their own, and for years, for a long time, I was welcome in their homes. I knew I was welcome because of how it felt walking in. The grandchildren coming down the hall, a chair already pulled out at the table. Denise would have something on the stove because she knew I'd be hungry from the drive. That's what welcome feels like. There's a warmth to it that doesn't need to announce itself. I didn't know then what it felt like to be tolerated instead of welcomed. I learned it slowly, the way you learn most hard things, not in a single moment, but in the accumulation of 100 small ones over years. The first sign was a word, a specific kind of word, said in a specific kind of tone. The first thing, just let me know ahead of time. My son Marcus said this to me first. It was 2016. Paulette had passed the year before, and I flew into Atlanta to see Marcus and his wife Gwen and the grandchildren Devon and little Priya, who was 7 then. I called Marcus from the airport to say I'd landed. He was quiet for just a beat too long, and then he said, "Dad, you really should have given us more heads up. We've got things going on this week." I had told him I was coming 2 weeks prior. He knew. He said, "Yeah, but in the future, just make sure we know ahead of time so we can plan around it." I said, "All right, son." I let it go. But here's what I want you to hear carefully, because this one took me a while to put the right name to. When an adult child says, "Just let me know ahead of time," in a tone that carries management in it, not the reasonable kind, where someone's calendar is genuinely full and they want to be ready for you, but the kind that says your arrival is a disruption they need to prepare for, that phrase isn't about logistics. That phrase is about whether you are a guest or an inconvenience. A guest you plan around, you clear the schedule, you look forward to the visit and you make it show. An inconvenience, you manage. I kept flying to Atlanta for 2 more years after that first visit, and every time there was some variation of that same sentence. Give us more warning. We've got a lot going on. Things are complicated right now. 2 years of some version of the same door held partway open. It took me an embarrassingly long time to understand that the warning they were asking for wasn't so they could prepare the guest room and stock the refrigerator. It was so they could prepare themselves, emotionally, for the effort of having me there. There is a difference between a child who says, "Let me know when you're coming," because they're lighting up inside at the idea of it, and a child who says it because they need time to brace. I didn't know for a long time which one I was dealing with. I think I wasn't ready to know. If you hear this phrase from your child with any kind of edge to it, not warmth, not anticipation, just management, hear it. Don't talk yourself out of what you felt. Busy people can still sound glad you're coming. Those are not mutually exclusive things. The second thing, we've been really busy lately. This one almost always comes after a gap. You haven't seen them in 4 months, you call to arrange something, and the first thing out of their mouth is, "We've been really busy lately." Now, every adult I know is busy. I understand that. I was busy at 45. I was busy at 55. Life is full when you're raising children and maintaining a house and building something. But I had a neighbor on Garland Road, woman named Cecilia, 79 now, just lost her husband last spring. She told me about calling her son in Houston and saying she hadn't seen him in 5 months, and he said, "Mama, I know, we've just been so busy, it's been crazy around here." Cecilia sat at my kitchen table and she looked at me and said, "Jonathan, I've been thinking about that conversation for 2 years now. He didn't say we've missed you. He didn't say I've been meaning to call. He said we've been busy, like that was supposed to be enough for me. Now, I want you to stay right here with me for a second, because what she said next is the thing. She said, he told me how full their life was. He never once told me I was part of it." I went very quiet, because I had heard the exact same sentence from Marcus, different words, same architecture underneath. Here's what "we've been really busy" means when it's offered as the explanation for months of absence. It means the absence didn't cause any pain on their end. Busy means you didn't have time. It doesn't mean you didn't make time. Those are different things, and the difference matters. People make time for what matters to them. Every last one of us finds the 30 minutes, the weekend trip, the phone call that lasts an hour. We find it when we want to find it. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. When your child tells you they've just been really busy, they are telling you, not cruelly, maybe not even consciously, that finding that time wasn't what they reached for. I'm not saying that to wound you. I'm saying it because you deserve to hear it plainly. The alternative is spending the next 3 years working around their schedule, fitting yourself into whatever window they offer, making yourself smaller so they don't feel guilty. And every time you do that, you are paying a price. The price is you. The third thing, the kids have a lot going on. This one took me the longest to recognize, because it comes wrapped in something that sounds like reasonable parenting. It sounds like a parent protecting their children's time. It sounds noble almost. My daughter Denise, 25 minutes from this house in Plano, started saying this around 2018. I'd call and say I was thinking of coming over for the weekend, maybe take the grandchildren out for lunch. And Denise would say, "Dad, the kids have a lot going on right now. Tyler's got travel baseball and Mia's in the middle of her semester, maybe give it a few weeks." A few weeks became a few months. I understood Tyler had baseball. I understood Mia had school. I wasn't asking to rearrange a single thing. I was asking for a Saturday afternoon, an hour, room at a table. And here is what I've come to understand. When your child uses the grandchildren's schedule as the consistent reason you can't come, not occasionally, but as the standing explanation, they are putting something between you and a direct answer. Because the direct answer is uncomfortable. The children's busyness is a buffer. It sounds like priorities. It sounds like structure. But I want to tell you something about grandchildren that I believe with my whole heart. That relationship between an old person and a young one gives a child something neither parent can give them, a sense of time that goes back further than they can imagine, a living piece of their own history, a kind of love that isn't complicated by the daily work of raising them. When an adult child consistently uses the grandchildren as a barrier, they are making a decision that reaches further than they can see. They are deciding what their children will have access to. And the grandchildren don't get a vote. I wonder sometimes if the problem isn't that our children don't want us around. I wonder if the problem is that we raise them to be so capable, so independent, so self-sufficient, that they genuinely don't know what they're missing until we're not there anymore to miss. The strange part wasn't that Denise was protective of her children's schedules. The strange part was that Tyler, he's 17 now, called me last February on his own. First time he'd ever called without being prompted. We were on the phone for 45 minutes. He didn't tell his mother for a week. I don't know exactly what to make of that, but I've been sitting with it ever since. And I'll tell you this, the fourth thing on this list, the one I'm about to share with you, is the one I've thought about the most, because it didn't happen to me. It happened to a man I know from church, and the story he told me is still the one I reach for when I need to understand exactly what conditional hospitality does to a person over time. I've been thinking about something for 4 years now, about what it means to visit someone versus what it means to show up for them. I used to think they were the same thing. They are not. And the difference has to do with which one of you actually needs the visit more. The fourth thing, you can come but we've got thing on Saturday. This one cost a man 15 hours of highway, permanently. His name is Harold. He's 81, retired schoolteacher from Mesquite, goes to my church. He drove 15 hours to see his son in Denver, packed a bag, made the drive, showed up ready. His son met him at the door and said, "Dad, we completely forgot about this thing tonight, but make yourself at home, you know where everything is." Harold said he stood in that kitchen that evening. His son and daughter-in-law had gone out, the grandchildren were in their rooms, and he made himself a sandwich alone at a table that wasn't his, in a house full of people who shared his blood. He told me that was the last time he made that drive. Now, what Harold's son said before he left that night, that's the fourth thing. You can come, but conditional hospitality isn't hospitality. I want to say that plainly. When I invite someone into this house, I don't tell them the checkout time on their way in. I don't say, "Come on in, but we've got church at 8, so don't get too comfortable." I make the room, I make the time. Because that's what inviting someone means. You are pulling them toward you, not managing them at arm's length. When your adult child says, "You can come, but we've got the game Saturday morning and we're going to the in-laws Sunday, so you'd probably want to come Friday and leave before noon Saturday," they have just built an expiration into your visit before you've even packed a bag. When your child says you can come, but most parents hear that and adjust, we accommodate. We say, "No problem, I'll work around it." We trim ourselves down to fit whatever space is being offered. And we tell ourselves that's what love looks like, flexibility, understanding, no demands. But there is a cost to that accommodation that never gets counted on any ledger. Every time you reshape yourself to fit a space that is too small for you, you are teaching the person who made that space that the size is acceptable. You are confirming that what they offered is enough. And you are taking the difference, the gap between what they gave and what you needed, and absorbing it quietly into yourself, where it lives. That is not love. That is erosion. There is a particular kind of tired that comes from spending years being a guest in your own family. It doesn't feel like anything dramatic. It just feels like you've been standing for a very long time, and nobody's thought to offer you a chair. The fifth thing, it's just not a good time right now. This is the last one, and in some ways the most important, because it's the only phrase on this list that has the honesty to be accurate. It's not a good time, that's exactly right. And the question you have to be willing to ask yourself, the one I had to sit with at 82 years old at the kitchen table on Garland Road with Paulette's photograph on the refrigerator and a phone in my hand, is this: when is it going to be a good time? Not the question you ask them, the question you ask yourself. Marcus said those exact words to me in September of 2020. I had been thinking about a trip to Atlanta that fall, first real travel I'd planned since the early part of the pandemic. I called and said I was thinking about October, just a few days. He said, "Dad, it's just not a good time right now. Things are complicated." I said, "All right." I didn't push. I wrote down the date I'd called and the date I'd planned to go, because I've kept a kind of log since Paulette passed, just small notes to myself so I remember things clearly. I didn't go to Atlanta that October, or November, or December. Somewhere in that winter, I remember, it was genuinely cold that year, which doesn't happen often in Dallas, that particular kind of cold where the whole house sounds different, quieter, heavier. I sat down at the kitchen table and I put both hands flat on the surface, and I made a decision. Not an angry decision, nothing dramatic. I decided I was going to stop being available on terms that made me invisible. I was 82 years old. I had perhaps 10 more years of being able to fly across the country, maybe fewer. And I had been spending those years fitting myself into windows that kept getting smaller, into hospitality that came with expiration dates, into visits where I could feel I was being managed from the moment I arrived. I am not telling you to stop loving your children. I am not telling you to stop calling. What I am telling you is this: when your child says it's just not a good time right now, they may love you a great deal. I believe Marcus loves me. I believe Denise loves me in her way. But love without access is a theory, and you are not a theory. You are a person. You are still alive, and you do not have the kind of time left to keep waiting for a good time to arrive. I want to tell you something I'm not entirely comfortable saying, because it doesn't make me look particularly good. After I made the decision to stop visiting Marcus and Denise, I felt, and I'm not proud of how long it took me to feel it, I felt relief. Not because I don't love them. I love them the way I love the air I breathe. But I had been performing a kind of cheerfulness for years, showing up grateful, making myself easy, asking nothing, staying out of the way, not needing anything, not burdening anyone. And the effort of all that, of being the low-maintenance father, the one who understood, the one who never complained, had been costing me something I had never once named. When I stopped, I named it. The thing I had been paying out all those years was my own presence. I had been diluting myself down to a size that fit their tolerance. And when I stopped doing that, when I said, not yet, not on those terms, I started to feel, slowly, like Jonathan Joseph again. I am not telling you to cut your children off. I am telling you that self-respect is not a young person's privilege. It belongs to you at 86, just as surely as it did at 36. Maybe more, because at 86 you understand exactly what it costs to spend your remaining time somewhere you are managed instead of wanted. Now, about what happened after I stopped. Marcus called me 11 months later, didn't announce it, didn't build up to it, just called on a Tuesday afternoon in the fall. We talked for nearly 2 hours. There was no formal apology from either of us. He didn't make a speech, and neither did I, but something in the conversation was different. There was space in it that hadn't been there for years. Room to actually say something. He came to Dallas last Christmas, brought Gwen and both children. They stayed 4 days. Devon slept in the bedroom where his father grew up. Marcus sat on the porch with me, both mornings. On the last morning he sat down, looked out at the street, and said one word. Dad. Just that, the way he used to say it as a boy when he was working through something difficult. I didn't say anything. I waited. He said, I didn't realize how much had gotten lost. I said, I know, son. That was the whole conversation. 4 days, 4 years, and that was the whole of it. But it was the most important exchange we'd had in 15 years. Denise, I'm still waiting on Denise. It's been 4 years since I stopped making the trips to Plano, and she's called twice. She's still busy, I suppose. She has her own ways of seeing things. I am not the villain of her story. I raised her. I loved her. I worked 40 years to give her a life she could build something real from. If she needs more time to find her way back to me, I will be here. But I will not be here on my knees. If you've heard any of these 5 things from someone you love, I'd ask you to sit with that, not with anger, just honestly. The way I had to sit with it at this table, with the cold outside and the house quiet all around me. I want to leave you with something, because I've been turning it over in my mind for a long time. When my children were small, Denise and Marcus and Raymond, running through this house, shoes by the door, cereal bowls in the sink, I used to stand in the doorway of their rooms and watch them sleep. Just standing there looking at these people I had helped bring into the world, and I remember thinking, I will do anything, any cost, anything they need. That kind of love is right. It's exactly right for that season of a parent's life. But that season ends. Children grow up. They build their own lives, which is precisely what we raise them to do. And at some point, nobody rings a bell, nobody marks it on a calendar. The relationship has to become something different, something mutual, something where both people have standing. Most of us never make that transition. We keep loving the way we loved when they were 5 years old, unconditionally, absorbing everything, asking nothing, long past the time when that's what serves either party well. And our children don't know to love us differently than we've shown them we want to be loved. We taught them we have no needs. We proved it every time we showed up grateful for a visit that cost us something. We confirmed it every time we swallowed the hurt and said, no, it's fine. The 5 things I've described today, they're not the problem.